interesting time in Notre Dame land. Lots of opinions on recruiting, ranging from relax, everybody overreacts to this kind of thing, and it's the summer and there's nothing else going on, so everything feels like a big deal. Everybody needs to relax. And then the other perspective is there's a trend emerging that's a little disturbing in recruiting on multiple fronts. One may be a penchant to lose one of the highest rated guys out of your class more years than you don't. And overall, that's a rough trend to have start. And then the second part is, I think there's parts of this team that are recruiting and developing at the level that you would deem to be acceptable for Notre Dame to get to the next level. And then it feels like there's other parts that are still lagging behind. And if you expect Notre Dame to make moves in this new expanded playoff where we're going to have to beat 4 top 12 teams to reach the promised land, I don't believe you can afford to have some of these weaknesses either in recruiting, development, or depth on the team. And that's just the harsh reality. You're going to be able to win 10 games out of 12 or whatever, doing it the way you're doing it. If you don't get all these things lined up, trending in an upward trajectory direction with recruiting and development and all these position groups, it's going to be hard. It's just going to be really hard to get this where everybody wants it to be. And I think that's perfectly fair to bring up. Thank you. We got a $10 pay for some of the phone lines. Seems to be just one guy. Just hold on to the recruits you have. We are fine. He wanted to be part ownership of the Ohio State Buckeyes. We need more high-level offensive players anyways. It's really hard. I just can't imagine any fan base. I can't imagine any fan base that loses their highest rated recruit and then you're like, oh, it's no big deal. We're okay. This isn't a big hit. To me, that is the ultimate copious cope. You don't want to deal with your feelings. I don't exist in that world where if it was Michigan that lost their highest rated recruit or Brian Kelly or USC or whatever, I'd be having a field day about what a nightmare that is. And so here we are. So I there is a little cope going on, but I also think it's overboard to be like Freeman's terrible at this. He's not doing anything right. Fire everyone. We got to be able to thread the intellectual and practical needle here to find the actual level that this should be at with your consternation or frustration or whatever it is. So here's where I want to start. Where I want to start is, I wish it was for 100% positive, awesome reasons, but I do feel the intensity ramping back up this week. It doesn't feel like this is May and we're just all BSing and everybody's joking around here. I feel the seriousness of the moment growing and building towards this season and with this recruiting stuff and all that. That fires me up. Just seeing kind of some of that intensity come back from everybody, even if it's for frustrating reasons, that fuels me. That's like pulling me into the gas station and filling me up. So I do appreciate some of this intensity, that's coming back. Okay. People care. That's the other thing. Whether you're lighting up, it's not that big of a deal, or you think the world is ending, people care. Notre Dame matters to everybody that's around here and in this space and in this niche. And I want to make sure I mention that. Okay. So we have a few things going on. Let's start here. The fallout from Taylor. You knew exactly what you were going to get from the Michigan fans and the Michigan media. And it was exactly what I figured. Insufferable people that I don't respect, starting and ending with EJ, number one on my list, who I've been having some very healthy and productive back and forths with on Twitter. We get Blair, I dunk on his head and stomp all over and do my little thing online. And I get a wry smile out of it. And it only took a day or two for that, a week or whatever. And that changes. And then he's dunking on us. It's the way it goes. That's the business. When you win, you got to take a victory lap. And when you lose, you got to take your L. You can't run and hide. So that's the way it is. But I just got to be clear again. I don't respect him. I don't respect On3 for employing him. Least professional recruiting beat guy I've ever encountered. John, what do you mean least professional? I'll give you an example. A guy doesn't make grades to get into Notre Dame. He goes to Michigan. The next article is, look at how Michigan stole Notre Dame's guy that they loved and they wanted, and we stole him. Disingenuous lies. Notre Dame's position room's filled, and then they go to a guy and say, we don't have a scholarship for you. We have somebody we like better. You might want to go somewhere else. You're probably not going to play or whatever. Notre Dame does that, being honest with the guy. They go to Michigan, and the next article is, we just stole Notre Dame's hottest recruit that they loved, and they're begging for him to come back. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Just a total liar, and I have no respect for him whatsoever. The way he carries himself, I can't believe he's employed by a major outlet. I really can't. It does get numbers, though. It does get numbers. So maybe that's the only answer and the only thing anybody cares about. And the Michigan people have no discernment for truth or accuracy. They don't seek it. They eat whatever. EJ said we stole Notre Dame's guy. Let me go get my club and kill something for lunch. Like, that's what you're dealing with there. So, I mean, it's like a Neanderthal situation where I don't expect any deep thought. So that situation is what it is. And you dunk on people when you can dunk on them, and you get dunked on when you get dunked on. And that's this life. That's that life out in these streets, bro. That's the life I live. I'm fine with it. Take your wins, take your losses. Here's my position on all this. I've heard a lot of people say we are fine in the secondary and we didn't even drop in the rivals team ranking and we all need to chill. And I did verify that. We were still in, I believe it was 4th place. But what did change is that point total for your class went down, obviously. That average and the total and all that stuff. But you were still sitting in that 4th slot. Okay. That's the short-term point that people have been bringing up to me. Chill out, relax. Secondary development's good. The recruiting's good overall in that group. We're going to be fine. Even if I wanted to believe that to feel better, I disagree, because more depth with more good players is better than less depth with less good players. Like, I don't understand. Like, I practically, I get what people mean when they say that. But if you take one more second to think about it, no, I don't want to -1 to get one and end up in the same spot. The idea is to build a deep team with a lot of talent and options all over. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. One secondary guy isn't going to ruin everything. Everybody relax. I know, but it's not that simple. More depth, better than less depth. More depth with more great potential players is better than less. No one's going to tell me that that's not accurate, because I know that it is. So that's a little bit of a cope to just feel better. Again, Notre Dame fans, you got to work this out in your mind. If this happened to any team we hate, Kelly, USC, Michigan, whatever, if it happened to any of those teams that we have a vendetta against, we would be jumping all over it, celebrating on Twitter, saying how bad that is for them. You got problems. There goes your top-ranked guy. So you got to be fair about that. And you can't not look at it that way just because it happened to us. And it's going to hurt your little feelings. Oh, man. Sly Fox says more depth is not good in a flood, John. Just saying. Yeah, that's Sly. I got to tell you, bro, you're pretty sly. Like, I don't know if that's why you created that screen name or not, but you're pretty sly with a lot of the things you say. You put things in here every day in that chat that I like. I really like. It's clever. Some old references to things. I like it. I like it a lot. So to me, folks, this is more about the bigger picture issue of more classes than not with Freeman, you're losing your highest rated players, or at least one of them. That is unsustainable practically if you want to get to the next, truly to the next level of like bottom of elite. That's unsustainable for you to be doing that more years than you're losing one of your top guys. It's just unsustainable practically to get where you want to go when you're suffering that big of a hit at the top. And then perceptually, there's no way around it. It's just a weak hand look. It's just a weak hand look to be sitting there with your bag empty and your main guy that's been in the class for months is gone. And just like that, he's all those days you log into 247. There he is. And then he gone. He gone, just like Hawk. He gone. Gas. He gone. So that's that. So my overall deal isn't just about one player, but rather the overall trend that stalls momentum. And there's no way you could say it doesn't when you lose your top-rated defensive player who's been committed for ages. How do you solve that problem? That's where I've been spending a lot of like the last day, like the last 12 hours I was awake yesterday. Like that's what I was thinking about. How do you solve this problem? How do you solve this issue? If it was truly just a one-off situation, I wouldn't be worrying and racking my little Irish brain about it. But since there is now like a trend of this, Keeley, Bowen, this situation, that's just tough to take. And I don't know whether the answer is there's something Notre Dame's not doing right, either with their messaging or what they're offering players, or they get them in the fold and then they don't maintain those relationships and guys don't feel wanted anymore. Like, I don't know what it is. Is it just simply the money other people are offering you and it entices them away? Like, I am unclear about exactly what the issue is. And the other reason it's very, very hard to answer the question of how do you solve this particular problem is each situation could be very unique. There could be overlapping trends that are like whatever that you could change if you're Notre Dame with your approach or your timing or your messaging or whatever. But without knowing all of those recruiting details on each of these kids and their situation and their parents and the discussions and their different considerations, I don't know how you could just like say, I have the answer to this without knowing all the details of all those different engagements. So that's the tough thing is how do you prevent this moving forward? Some people are saying maybe Notre Dame needs to back off on getting those verbal commitments so early the way they do. And then guys blow up in the rankings and then they go take their visits and then they go somewhere else. And Notre Dame was a good little spot to hang out as a backup. And then you could go if something better comes up. I also understand people saying, are you out of your mind? Like, are you out of your mind? Why would you not want a verbal commitment from one of the top players in the country, letting people know they like your school and you're the leader in the clubhouse? Like, I'm open to all of this, but without knowing the details of each individual situation, it's very, very hard for me to patently say, here's how you solve this. So I don't know. Now let's move on. So that's my deal with the Taylor thing. Let's move on to the next situation. Then I'll bring it up to the callers and we'll see what's cracking there. And then we'll come back to some notes and some chats. Okay. We got wide receiver commitment dates lined up. And it's very Ohio podcast. Good morning, Eric. How are you, buddy? Last day before vacation. Good for you, brother. Good for you. We in the middle of all the stress about Taylor and all the people sending me all the memes of Freeman getting shoved in a locker by Sharon Moore. And I understand some of my video got chopped up and it's making the rounds on Michigan Twitter and on their boards. They chopped up some of my video I did on this. again, hey, man, traffic's traffic. If I'm going to be frustrated and mad, I may as well get some content run out of it. I'm going to be mad and frustrated anyway. So you may as well let me get some clicks out of it. But I did get sent. I saw where they clipped me up and they're laughing at me getting mad about this all over the Michigan airwaves, whatever. It's all good, baby. It's all good. In the middle of all that, and everybody trying to figure out exactly what the realities are and just how concerned to be about this situation. Then you get news that these wide receivers that we've been heavily after for a long time wanting to commit, they all end up lined up with dates to commit. Meadows, July 13th. Tanook, the Crook, Hines, July 15th. Robinson, July 18th. So then this news breaks on Twitter. And boy, the anxiety really started to crank up because you already have people in an iffy mood kind of itching to be negative with the news from Taylor. And wide receivers a spot where Notre Dame needs to get 2 out of the 3 of these guys at a minimum. Notre Dame needs to get 2 out of these 3 guys at a minimum. I don't know if anybody in Notre Dame land's sure about what the exact realities are on this. I don't know if you're going to get any of them. I don't know if you're going to get 1 out of 3, 2 out of the 3, none out of the 3. I don't know. But if these are like guys you've been after for a while, names that this fan base knows and is familiar with that have been pumped up and talked about at all the podcasts and the recruiting breakdown shows. If you strike out, strike 1, strike 2, and not Hawk Tua. No, what a great punch out. If you're an umpire, like when I umpired junior league and senior league, I used to literally sit there before the year and think of what I wanted all my sounds to be on the strike. What are you going to do? Some guys don't even just say the word. They just go, like whatever you're going to do. Hawk Tua. I like that. I like that a lot. Hawk Tua on strike 3. I like that. If Notre Dame goes 0 for 3 here, and there's already the blood in the water from the Taylor fallout, buddy, you got issues. This is a pivotal little period here where Notre Dame's at. Rumors galore, boards galore. The people I talk to are like, John, I don't know what to tell you on these wide receivers. John. I just don't know how it's going to go. I don't feel confident one way or the other. Or wouldn't you like to think if Notre Dame, usually when Notre Dame knows they're going to get a guy and they set up a commitment, the staff knows before, and then that kind of leaks. And then the recruiting people say, we feel pretty good about this. I don't know where we're at. But if it's 0 for 3, I don't know what to tell you. Mike Brown, I don't know. I see people still blaming Chancey Stuckey. Like now, blame him for something before, but like now, I don't know what you want him to do. He's out recruiting these guys. So this is a pivotal little period here. And if you could land 2 out of the 3 of these wide receivers, and let's say you could land 2 out of the 3 of these receivers and then get Boateng and Faremo. Oh, I saw that, Chief. Yes, I definitely saw that. If you could get 2 out of these guys and then land those 2 linebackers, I think people will chill out a lot and the class will rise back up in its points and everything, whatever. If you whiff on these wide receivers, it ain't going to be pretty. Jay Lehman, good to see you, man. Have a good day, buddy. If you whiff on these receivers, get ready for RKGs and body like me's. There you go again. RKGs and players with John's body type. You know what you don't win in the expanded playoff with? RKGs and guys like me's. That's what you don't win with in the playoffs. There's a lot of parts of this team that could compete in that playoff and make a run. I'm getting sick of certain parts of this team weighing it all down. So I'm open to relaxing. I'm open to relaxing and letting this wide receiver lineup do their announcements or whatever. But if you whiff on these guys, some people put it in the chat, and I agree with them. Do not believe what the recruiting people tell you that comes next. Don't believe it. They're going to pump up to you an RKG that wasn't on the radar at all and is really lowly rated, and they're going to tell you they're awesome or whatever. That's not, we're done with that. That's not good enough to get Notre Dame where they need to go. You need a real, actual ass skill guys out there. You just do. You just do. So if you whiff on all these guys, they're going to start spinning it and telling you that all those 3-star guys that no big program are awesome, and they're going to get those, and it's going to weigh down the class, and they're going to tell you it's fine, and it ain't fine. If those guys were so damn good, they'd be the first wave of receivers Notre Dame's after, not the backup plans. So don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. If that happens, that's the next thing that's going to happen. Well, let's go down the board and look at the next guy, and I like his burst, whatever. Yeah, my head's going to burst. So don't believe it, because it isn't true. These would all be scrambling backup plans, man. Be smart enough to see that, and don't fall for the hype. So where do you go from there? Callers, I'm coming to you, I promise. Where do you go from there? If you whiff on this, bro, Notre Dame's going to have to use the portal in it. Listen, you have long-term and you have short-term. In the short-term, if you whiff on all these guys, number one is this wide receiver coach that, I don't know, man. You have not been able to get a guy that can get the guys you need. Enough of them. There's guys here or there, but like enough of them, okay? So here's the backup plan. And then I'm going to the calls. I apologize. The J Car. I love when John stutters into a loud grunt. One of my favorite Kennedyisms. It's just get so frustrated sometimes. That's just the noise that comes out. Son of a buck. The backup plan would be you're going to have to use the portal. So theoretically, you're not going to need to go to the portal to get a quarterback again and spend $1 million or whatever to lose 3 games again, which, you know, you can do with a lot of quarterbacks, lose 3 games in Notre Dame. So you're not going to need to go do that and spend all that cash on a quarterback next year. So then you're going to have to use that money on wide receivers and probably, I think, a D lineman. That's what you're going to have to do. And you're going to have to spend more than market value to land those guys. And it's just what you're going to have to do to get by. But those are Band-Aids. Those are not reliable long-term solutions. Let's be crystal clear. Those are 1-year Band-Aids, not reliable building block solutions. All right? And I know a lot of teams operate on the portal thing and flipping guys in and out and getting in and 50 guys coming and going. That's not ever going to be Notre Dame's bread and butter. We're not built for that. We're not built for that.